Nestled deep within an ancient forest lay the village of Eldoria, a place where magic and the mundane coexisted in harmony. Eldoria was a peaceful village, shielded from the outside world by towering trees and a mystical aura that warded off ill-intentioned intruders. The villagers lived simple yet fulfilling lives, farming, crafting, and celebrating the natural beauty surrounding them. In Eldoria, it was believed that the forest itself was alive, imbued with spirits and ancient magic. The villagers revered these spirits, honoring them with rituals and festivals, knowing that their protection and prosperity depended on this sacred relationship. Among the villagers was Jane, a young woman known for her kindness, courage, and an unyielding spirit. Jane had lost her parents at a young age, but the village had raised her as one of their own. She had a deep connection to the forest, often spending her days exploring its depths, learning its secrets, and feeling its pulse as if it were a part of her. One crisp autumn day, as the leaves turned brilliant shades of red and gold, Jane decided to clean out her attic. Her cottage, though modest, had been in her family for generations, and the attic was filled with relics from the past. As she sorted through dusty old trunks and faded photographs, something caught her eye, a scroll, ancient and brittle with age. Carefully unrolling it, Jane's heart quickened as she read the delicate script. The scroll depicted a sacred tattoo, intricately designed with symbols and patterns that seemed to shimmer in the light. Alongside the illustration was a prophecy. The bearer of the sacred tattoo shall possess the strength of the forest, the wisdom of the ancients, and the heart of a lion. Only the chosen one may bear this mark and protect the village from impending doom. Jane's mind raced. Could she be the chosen one? She had always felt a special connection to the forest, but this was beyond anything she could have imagined. Determined to find out more, she took the scroll to Eldor, the village elder. Eldor was a wise and gentle woman, respected by all for her knowledge and insight. Her small cottage was adorned with herbs, crystals, and ancient texts, reflecting her role as both healer and seer. When Jane showed her the scroll, Eldor's eyes widened in recognition. "This is the prophecy of the sacred tattoo," Eldor said softly. "It has been passed down through generations, waiting for the chosen one to appear. The tattoo bestows great power, but it also comes with great responsibility." Jane listened intently as Eldor explained the significance of the tattoo. It was a gift from the forest spirits, meant to protect Eldoria in times of crisis. Only someone with a pure heart and unwavering courage could bear its mark and harness its power. "Do you believe I am the chosen one?" Jane asked, her voice trembling with both excitement and fear. Eldor studied Jane for a long moment before nodding. "Yes, Jane, the forest has chosen you. You have the strength, wisdom, and heart required to bear this sacred mark. But you must understand, this is not a decision to be taken lightly. Once the tattoo is bestowed, your life will be forever changed." Word of the prophecy spread quickly through the village, and preparations for the tattoo ceremony began. It was a rare and momentous occasion, one that the villagers approached with reverence and anticipation. On the night of the full moon, they gathered in the village square, a sacred space where many rituals had been performed over the centuries. A large bonfire crackled in the center, casting a warm glow on the faces of the gathered villagers. Eldor stood beside Jane, who was dressed in a simple white gown, her expression a mix of determination and nervousness. The village elder held a small pot of ink made from rare herbs and minerals, believed to be infused with the essence of the forest. "Jane, do you accept the sacred tattoo and the responsibilities that come with it?" Eldor asked, her voice carrying across the silent square. Jane took a deep breath and nodded. "I do." With that, Eldor began the intricate process of inking the tattoo onto Jane's arm. The patterns were complex, weaving together symbols of the forest, animals, and ancient spirits. As the needle pierced her skin, Jane felt a strange sensation, as if the ink were alive, connecting her to something far greater than herself. When the tattoo was complete, the villagers erupted in cheers and applause. Jane's arm glowed faintly, the tattoo shimmering with a magical light. She felt a surge of power within her, a newfound strength and clarity that filled her with both awe and resolve. The days that followed were a whirlwind of discovery for Jane. She spent hours in the forest, testing her new abilities and learning to control the power of the tattoo. She could communicate with animals, sensing their thoughts and feelings as if they were her own. She could manipulate the elements, summoning gusts of wind or making plants grow with a mere thought. And her strength, she felt as if she could lift mountains. Guided by the spirits of her ancestors, Jane trained diligently, honing her skills and deepening her connection to the forest. She learned to move with the grace of a deer, the ferocity of a wolf, and the wisdom of an owl. The forest spirits spoke to her in dreams, offering guidance and teaching her ancient secrets. But Jane also understood the gravity of her role. The tattoo was not just a gift, it was a responsibility. She was the village's protector, their guardian against any threat that might arise. And although Eldoria was peaceful now, Jane knew that darkness was always lurking at the edges, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Unbeknownst to the villagers, a dark sorcerer named Malakar had been watching Eldoria from the shadows. Malakar was a master of dark magic, his heart consumed by jealousy and hatred. He had once been a respected mage, but his thirst for power had led him down a dark path, one that had ultimately resulted in his exile. Malakar had heard whispers of the sacred tattoo and the power it bestowed. He believed that if he could possess that power, he could reclaim his former glory and exact revenge on those who had wronged him. He began to weave a sinister plan, summoning dark forces and gathering an army of shadow creatures to attack the village. One stormy night, Malakar stood at the entrance of a dark, foreboding cave, chanting incantations that echoed through the trees. The ground trembled, and from the shadows emerged twisted, nightmarish creatures, their eyes glowing with malevolence. "Soon Eldoria will fall," Malakar hissed, his eyes gleaming with cruel delight, "and the sacred tattoo will be mine." It was a peaceful evening in Eldoria when the first signs of trouble appeared. The animals in the forest grew restless, and the air crackled with an ominous energy. Jane, sensing the disturbance, rushed to the village square, where Eldor and the other villagers were already gathering. "Something is coming," Jane said urgently. "We need to prepare." The villagers scrambled to fortify their defenses, but they were no match for the dark magic that was about to descend upon them. As the sun set, a thick fog rolled in, and the temperature dropped sharply. From the depths of the forest, Malakar's shadow creatures emerged, their twisted forms moving with eerie precision. Panic spread through the village as the creatures attacked, their claws and fangs tearing through anything in their path. Jane, her tattoo glowing with a fierce light, sprang into action. She summoned the wind, using it to drive the creatures back, and called upon the strength of the forest to enhance her physical abilities. "Stay together," Jane shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We can fight them off." The villagers, inspired by Jane's bravery, rallied together, using whatever weapons they could find to defend their home. Jane fought with all her might, her movements a blur as she took down one creature after another. But despite their efforts, the shadow creatures kept coming, their numbers seemingly endless. Realizing that the battle could not be won by sheer force alone, Jane knew she had to confront Malakar directly. She could feel his dark presence, a cold, malevolent force lurking at the edge of the village. With a final burst of energy, she fought her way through the throng of creatures and made her way to the village square. There, standing in the flickering light of the bonfire, was Malakar. His eyes glowed with dark magic, and a cruel smile twisted his lips. "Ah, the chosen one," Malakar sneered. "I must admit, I'm impressed. But your efforts are futile. The power of the sacred tattoo will be mine." Jane's eyes narrowed. "You'll never take this village, Malakar. I won't let you." With a roar, Malakar unleashed a wave of dark energy, sending Jane sprawling. She quickly regained her footing, her tattoo blazing with light as she summoned all her strength. The two clashed in a fierce battle, their powers colliding in a dazzling display of light and shadow. Jane fought with everything she had, drawing on the wisdom and strength of the forest spirits. She could feel their presence around her, guiding her movements and lending her their power. But Malakar was relentless, his dark magic fueled by his hatred and desire for revenge. The battle between Jane and Malakar raged on, their magic intertwining in a deadly dance. As they fought, Jane could sense the desperation in Malakar's attacks, a deep-seated bitterness that drove him to madness. She knew that defeating him would require more than just strength. She needed to outsmart him. Summoning the wisdom of the forest, Jane began to analyze Malakar's movements, looking for patterns and weaknesses. She noticed that his dark magic was strongest when he was standing near the shadows. Determined to turn the tide of the battle, Jane devised a plan. Using her ability to control the elements, Jane called upon a gust of wind to scatter the shadows, pushing Malakar away from his source of power. As the darkness receded, Malakar's confidence faltered, and Jane seized the opportunity. She conjured a bright, blinding light, overwhelming the sorcerer and forcing him to retreat. "Your power comes from darkness, Malakar," Jane said, her voice steady and resolute. "But the light of the forest will always prevail." Malakar screamed in frustration, unleashing one final, desperate attack. Jane braced herself, channeling all her energy into a protective barrier. The dark magic crashed against her shield, but Jane held firm, her tattoo glowing with an intense brilliance. With a powerful surge, she redirected the energy back at Malakar, enveloping him in a blinding light. The sorcerer let out a howl of agony as the light consumed him, his dark magic unraveling. The shadow creatures, now leaderless, disintegrated into nothingness. As the light faded, Malakar collapsed to the ground, his power broken. With the village safe once more, the villagers emerged from their homes, their faces etched with relief and gratitude. Jane stood in the village square, her tattoo still glowing faintly, a symbol of her victory and the bond she shared with the forest. Eldor approached Jane, her eyes filled with pride. "You have fulfilled your destiny, Jane. The sacred tattoo has found its true bearer. You have protected our home and shown us the strength of your spirit." Jane smiled, though she felt a deep exhaustion settling over her. "I couldn't have done it without the support of the village and the guidance of the forest spirits. We are all stronger together." The villagers gathered around, cheering and celebrating their hero. They sang songs of victory, their voices rising in harmony with the rustling leaves of the forest. Jane felt a profound sense of belonging, knowing that she was a part of something greater than herself. In the days that followed, Eldoria began to rebuild. The villagers worked together to repair the damage, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that they had overcome a great evil. Jane continued to hone her abilities, training with the guidance of Eldor and the forest spirits. As time passed, Jane's legend grew. She became a symbol of hope and courage, inspiring others to embrace their own strengths and protect the harmony of the village. The story of the sacred tattoo was passed down through generations, a reminder of the power of unity and the strength of the human spirit. Jane's life was forever changed by the sacred tattoo, but she found joy and fulfillment in her role as the village's guardian. She continued to explore the depths of the forest, forging a deeper connection with its magic and wisdom. And though the shadows of the past lingered, she knew that the light of the forest would always guide her. Eldoria thrived, its people living in harmony with the natural world. The village remained a beacon of peace and magic, protected by the legacy of the sacred tattoo and the courage of those who bore its mark. And so, the tale of Jane and the sacred tattoo became a cherished legend, a testament to the enduring power of courage, kindness, and destiny.